Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to this video where I'm going to be showing you the best settings for the new GoPro Max 2 and do a full setup walkthrough from literally getting it out of the box to going out and shooting. I'm going to be going over all the settings that you need to know whether you're an absolute pro or this is your first GoPro. But before I get there, I just reset this GoPro to the factory settings, so let's show you guys how to get it activated and how to get it all set up. So I just got back from a week in Austria with the GoPro team for the launch of Max 2, and we spent the whole time just filming a bunch of really amazing content with it. And one of the best parts is a ton of people from the GoPro team are there, so I was really able to talk to the people who made the camera about what the best settings are. It's no secret, this camera is long overdue. GoPro came out with the Max 1 in 2019, so it's been 5 years from Max 1 to Max 2. But the Max 2 takes it to a completely different level. It is the only 360 camera on the market that shoots actual 8K. I'm gonna be doing a full review on this camera in the coming weeks. So without getting too into the weeds about what true 8K actually means, basically what it means is the competitors are using a combination of AI and overlapping pixels to claim that they shoot 8K, but they don't actually shoot 8K. Here's a chart showing the true image size of the 3 top cameras on the market. By the way, if you guys haven't picked up a Max 2 yet, you can use code McGee10 for 10% off. You can also use that on anything on their website. So if you want to get a Hero 13 or any accessories, you can use that code as well. Hey, what's up guys? Before we move on in this video, I want to tell you about something I am super excited about. And if you have a GoPro, I know you're going to be stoked about it as well. So last year, Anker sent me their Anker Prime power bank to test out. At the time, I had no clue I was getting one of my favorite pieces of tech I'd gotten in years. Ever since I got that thing, I haven't gone anywhere without it. That's why I was so stoked when Anker hit me up and said their brand new Anker Prime series was coming out. They somehow made this better than the old one in almost every way, and I don't understand how, but they made it smaller. It is so nice in situations where I'm on the go and have to charge things like GoPros, drones, and other gear. It can charge a GoPro Max 15 times. In addition to the new power bank, they also came out with this new Anker Prime charger. I'm so excited about this little thing because it fully eliminates the need for me to bring one of those big MacBook chargers with me when I travel. Okay, let's talk about the power bank first. This is the world's best 300 watt multi-port fast charging power bank on the market. So this battery has a 26,000 milliamp hour capacity, has an insane output of 300 watts, can recharge itself to 50% in just 13 minutes using dual inputs, and is TSA approved. The high output on this thing means that I can charge my MacBook at full capacity, so if I'm going to a cafe or something, I don't need to worry about being next to an outlet. This thing can charge 2 M4 MacBook Pros to 50% in just 27 minutes. I also constantly use it when I'm traveling to recharge my phone, GoPro cameras, drones, anything like that. Okay, I could definitely talk more about the power bank, but let's talk about the charger now. This is the most compact 160 watt multi-charger in the entire world. It can charge a MacBook, an iPad, and an iPhone simultaneously at full speed. It also has a screen that shows you what the output of each port is, check on the temperature, and change modes. And because it has so much power, I can ditch my giant, annoying Apple charger that I've traveled around with for years now. So all I have to do is bring this charger and then this MacBook cable, and I'm good to go. Because it's such high output, you can also recharge the Anker Prime power bank super quickly with it. If you can't tell, I am so stoked about the new Anker Prime series, and if you want to snag one of these for yourself, there's a link down in the description below. Okay, that's it for me. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so when you first turn your camera on, first thing that you're gonna wanna do is pick your language. Agree to the legal stuff. GPS basically enables you to get the speed and location of clips in post. I usually like to have that on. Voice control, I don't use, but if you're someone who wants to say like, GoPro, take a photo, GoPro, take a video, you can turn that on. I'm gonna leave mine off. And next you're just gonna get prompted to pair with the GoPro Quick app, which I highly recommend. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second. But if you wanna set it up without the GoPro Quick app, you can just click the back button and then hit skip setup. But for now, I'm gonna hit continue and switch over to a screen recording to show you how to set it up. Okay, so as soon as you open up GoPro Quick, you should get an option to pair your GoPro. So just pair, you'll hear some beeps. Your version might be slightly different than that. You might not get those prompts just because I'm on a test version of GoPro Quick. So let's go to GoPro. The Max 2 is detected. I'm gonna turn off auto upload because I like to just manually move all my clips over. And to set it up, you don't need an SD card unless you have to update it. So cool, we're all paired there. So now we'll switch back to the camera mode to get into settings. Okay, so now we are in the camera settings. So it's first gonna open up in video mode, and preset right out of the box, it's gonna be set to 5.6K 30. And you're gonna have two options here. You're either gonna have looping or video. Video is basically just continuous recording. Looping, essentially what that does is it records a, let's say 5-minute video. You can change how long the video is. And essentially every 5 minutes, it's going to start recording a new video. So if you're shooting something that's like hours and hours long, like you're waiting for like a fish to bite your bait or something like that, it'll constantly overwrite the last video, so it saves SD card space. But for normal use, you just want normal video mode. Before we get to the next thing, I just want to ask a huge favor of you guys to hit the like button down below. It goes a really long way towards getting this video actually out there. And if you do hit the like button, I'm gonna put a really cute photo of a baby lion at the end of this video. All right, let's move on. All right, so the GoPro Max does have a log profile, which just allows you to do a lot of different things in post and editing. To be honest, I really like the standard profile. Log, honestly, to me, just takes a little bit more time to edit, and you might be able to get slightly better results for it, but I always stay in standard. So let's go down. As far as resolution goes, you are definitely going to want to shoot in 8K. I always shoot in 8K 30 because it works best with Instagram and YouTube, but you can also shoot 24. I'll get into slow motion modes in a minute. So coming down, all of this, you just keep the same. Bit depth, you want to change that to 10-bit. That's gonna just give you a lot more detail in the colors of the image. Shutter, we're gonna keep on auto. The only reason that you'd want to lock the shutter speed off is if you're using ND filters. I'm expecting GoPro to have ND filters for this in the future, but it doesn't right now. Coming down, ISO min, ISO max. You want your ISO to be as low as possible, so I usually set my ISO max to somewhere around 400 to 800. In an ideal situation, like if you're shooting outside, you can lower that down to 200. But if you're shooting in a somewhat dark environment, you can leave it at about 800 without getting a lot of noise, which is basically just those like colorful pixels you see in dark footage. All right, so coming down here, some very important settings. You want to change your sharpness to low. A lot of action cameras, they give this like over sharpened look for some reason. It's just like a small sensor thing, but on here you can switch that to low because you can always add sharpness in post, but you can never take it away. If you put the sharpness as low, you'll get a much more natural looking video. So as far as color goes, you can either shoot in vibrant, which is a little bit more saturated, natural, or flat. To be honest, I am not a huge fan of how the natural profile looks on the GoPro Max. It looks a little bit like HDR-y. It's not something most people would notice, but for me, I always shoot in flat because every single clip that I'm shooting on my GoPro, I'm then gonna take to my computer and color grade. If you're someone who's just gonna use this camera and just shoot on the camera, upload directly to your phone and export from your phone without messing with the color at all, I'd recommend shooting in natural. Okay, coming down, white balance, typically I go with auto. If you're shooting outdoors, 5500 is always a really solid place to start, but for now, I'm gonna go with auto. Wind, if you're only shooting in situations where it's super, super windy, I would recommend turning it on just because the wind reduction on this is actually super, super solid. But if you're shooting in environments where it's not that windy, you can just use it on auto and it'll sort of just detect it for you. Coming down, another very important thing is to change the bit rate to high from standard. Bitrate is basically like how much information is in your video. GoPro sets this at a lower amount right out of the box, just so it's not so hard on your phone when you're editing, but to get the best image, you definitely want that high. The rest of the stuff we are not going to touch. And that is pretty much it for the best video settings. You're gonna get a really, really solid looking image out of this. Okay, next up, I wanna talk about slow-mo settings. So this is my primary 360 settings, 8K 30. But if I wanted to create a preset for slow-mo, let's go video. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna shoot in 4K 100. The 4K 100 actually looks really solid, and when you reframe it, you're still gonna be getting about a 1080 1080 image. Plus you're gonna be getting 90 frames per second, which just looks great and allows you to slow things down by 3 times or 4 times, depending on whether your project's in 24 frames or 30 frames. If you don't have any clue what I'm talking about, it's not a big deal. Basically, the video is just gonna be slowed down a ton. You can also shoot in 5.6K, but only at 60 frames per second. So I'm gonna switch that to 90. Coming down, again, this stuff stays the same. When you're shooting slow-mo, you can only shoot 8-bit, which is fine. Shutter auto, EV comp auto, ISO min 100. I'm gonna have my ISO max at 800. Sharpness, again, low. Color, I'm gonna go flat, but if you're just editing on your phone, I would go natural. White balance auto, wind auto, and then lastly, bitrate high. You definitely wanna make sure you do that. Okay, so create that new preset. So I'm just gonna save this as custom, boom. So now I have a custom mode, which is 4K 90 slow-mo, and then a normal mode, which is 8K 30. Okay, so let's move on to some of the other modes that's actually super, super helpful. So if you just swipe to the right, you're going to find a mode that's called POV mode. And this is essentially when you have your camera like mounted like this. So if I was like on a mountain bike or something, camera was mounted right here or on top of my helmet, POV mode is really a solid mode for that and just helps you cut down on the post-processing time. So essentially what it's gonna do is gonna turn off direction lock and horizon lock. So if you're shooting a POV video, the horizon isn't going to be steady, it's gonna be moving like this. So if you're mountain biking or something like that, POV is really solid. Another thing that it does is it adjusts the exposure for what's in front of you. So it dynamically figures out which direction is forward and which direction is like just filming your helmet, and it exposes for that and doesn't worry about the helmet behind you. And so by turning off those settings directly when you put it into the GoPro Quick app, it's gonna be that perfect mode where you're kind of going back and forth, which looks a lot better than a locked horizon or a locked direction. So it just cuts down on the editing time in the app. It's also important to note that whether you're in video mode, POV mode, or selfie mode, the actual file that you can take and put onto your computer is exactly the same. There's literally no difference at all. So you're still gonna be able to do everything the same on your computer, but it's gonna make the quick app editing a lot easier. And then as far as settings there, we're gonna do the exact same thing. So we're gonna go down, we're gonna go 8K 30, and then everything is just the exact same. So bit depth, 10-bit, shutter, auto, all that stuff good. Sharpness low. I'm gonna leave the ISO for now. Color, again, same principles apply. Bitrate high. Okay, so the next mode that I want to talk about is if you swipe left again, it is called selfie mode. So this is essentially when you're using the camera on a pole like this. A lot of times when you're shooting on 360, that's how you're shooting. Also, shout out to GoPro for making this absolutely banger pole. It's like a 4-foot pole, it's carbon fiber, it's really nice. And they now have quarter 20 latch mounts that you just screw onto the pole. This has a quick mount as well, so you can just put it on like that and you're good to go. So again, with selfie mode, if you have your selfie stick, you're shooting like this, out like that. Basically, when you put the video in the quick app, it's going to lock straight in on you. And so again, just cuts down on the editing. I freaking love these latch mounts so much. Lastly, to the right side, we have photo mode. Okay, so the one thing that I wanna say about photo mode is it's actually pretty much the same quality if you grab a screen grab from a video or actually take photos. So most of the time when I wanna take photos, I instead just roll a video and then later on just grab a screen grab from that. But if you do wanna save storage space and you do wanna shoot photo mode, let's get into those settings. Right here, you're gonna have normal photo mode, burst mode, and then night photo. So let's go into photo mode. Output, you have standard. And then the timer mode is basically how often you want the GoPro to take photos. So a lot of times you have your 360 camera at the end of a stick, so it's not really easy to like keep pressing the button. So if you hit the shutter button once, it'll just continuously take a photo. So you can set it to 10 seconds or off. So let's keep that at 3 seconds. Interval, let's keep that off. Scheduled capture, all that the same. All this, I'm definitely gonna limit my ISO. Anything over 800, it just doesn't look as good. If you're in really dark environments, you can bump it, but I'm gonna lock mine at 800. Sharpness, again, we want that to be low. Color, you can either do flat or natural. I'm gonna go flat, and coming down, that is the final photo setting. So you might notice you also have burst mode, which again, similar to video, like all the settings that I'm gonna change inside each of these modes are exactly the same, pretty much. So this mode basically just takes burst photos. So if you're shooting like high action where you want a ton of photos, this will take 10 photos every 3 seconds, but you can also slow it down, speed it up, and get a bunch of different options. Timer is the same thing, so every 3 seconds it's just gonna continuously run. Again, sharpness low, all that good stuff. Another super dope photo mode that they have is night photo. So let's go in there. So that's basically if you're shooting stuff at night, which is really cool because you can shoot photos of the stars in 360, which is really amazing. So basically what you're gonna set here is kind of like how long the exposure is. The longer the exposure is, the longer the shutter is open. So if I was shooting photos of the stars, I would have that up to 30 seconds. But if it's not that dark, you can change that. And the best way to figure out what you need is basically just take a sample photo, look at it on the app, look at it on the camera, and see what works best. Again, same thing. We're just gonna mess with the color, mess with the sharpness, and we're good to go. All right, so the last mode to go over is time-lapse mode. So if you just slide the camera all the way to the left, you're gonna end up in time-lapse mode. Here's an example of a clip that I took when we were in Austria of a time lapse, and it's really, really cool mode because you can set up a time lapse somewhere, and no matter what happens, like if clouds are not moving here, but they are moving here, you can just reframe exactly how you want. It's really, really fun to play around with. But when you go into the time lapse mode, you're gonna have a few different options. So the first option is time warp. You can kind of think of this as like a moving time lapse. There's another mode in here that is good for stationary time lapses, but this is more so if you were like taking a hyperlapse. So you're holding the camera and walking up to a church or something like that. If you want to speed that up, this is a really great mode for that. And honestly, since the output for this is video, or that's what I usually use, it's pretty much the same settings as we went over for video. So we want to do 8K. Speed, basically, the slower the speed, it'll tell you like 1 minute of recording creates about 30 seconds of time warp video, or if you go up to 30x, 15 minutes of recording creates about 10 seconds of time warp videos. So just figure out how long you want your video to be and adjust from there. All this other stuff, same thing. You want your sharpness low, color natural, you want your bit rate high, all that good stuff that we've already covered. And I'm not gonna get super into depth about all these modes. If you guys are interested in having me cover more specifics on each mode, let me know in the comments down below, but I do wanna at least explain each one. So next up is Star Trails. Star Trails is actually such a cool mode because you basically just set it out like in the middle of the night when there's stars moving. It'll capture a trail of how the Earth is moving. It's really cool. It's a feature that the GoPro 13 has, and I use it all the time. It creates this really cool effect. I actually like it even more than just like a classic nighttime lapse. Again, all the settings for this are gonna be the same that we just covered. Light painting is kind of like a slower mode. So I'm sure you guys have seen videos of people like painting images at night where it leaves streaks. That's what that mode is for. Vehicle lights is kind of like a night lapse, but a little bit shorter. So if you're shooting like basically like a road with cars going by or something like that, or you're like mounting the camera to the outside of your car and you just want a really flowy, like cool, kind of like retro style video, that's what that is for. And then down here at the bottom, you're gonna see time-lapse video and night-lapse video. So these two modes are, again, they're just stationary. So time warp is more for moving, time-lapse is kind of stationary. The settings here are pretty similar. So you can pick your output, whether you want a video output or photo. I always choose video because it's just already pre-stitched. It's so much easier. And resolution, we obviously want 8K. You can change your interval. So if you're taking one photo every 60 minutes, like an entire day is gonna be like a few seconds of footage. Or if you go down to like 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, you have a ton of different options based on how long you want it to be. Everything else, again, all this stuff I would change to what we talked about in the video settings. Okay, and then finally, night lapse video. So again, same thing as the last one. You wanna pick video unless you wanna manually stitch it together. If you like tedious, annoying things to do, you can pick photo. And then down here, you can pick your interval, you can pick your duration. So you can basically say like how long you want your camera to shoot. You can shoot up to 3 hours, and then after 3 hours, it'll turn off. I usually, if I'm doing like a night lapse video, I just let it run for as long as humanly possible, and then just let it turn itself off. Timer, same thing. It's like you press the shutter button if it's set to 3 seconds. 3 seconds after you press the button is when it's gonna start shooting. And then night shutter, if you're shooting the stars, I would highly highly recommend 30 seconds, just because that's gonna allow the sensor to be open for 30 seconds and you're gonna get the brightest image possible. Again, for night stuff, I really prefer the star trails a lot more. I think it's like a lot cooler effect. It's really unique. So when I do it, I usually just shoot with the star trail mode. And if you guys are planning on editing your footage on the computer and want to give your footage that like nice cinematic look, there's a link in the description below to my pack of 4 LUTs, which basically are just super simple video filters that you slap on top, and it just gives it that kind of unique cinematic creative look. All right guys, so that does it for the walkthrough and best settings of the GoPro Max 2. These are the settings that I use all the time to get the best shots possible. And just as a reminder, if you haven't purchased the Max 2 yet, or you're interested in buying anything else on the GoPro website, you can use code McGee10 for 10% off your entire cart. Thank you so much for watching, and as promised, only if you liked this video, here's a photo of a cute lion. But if you didn't like this video, click off now. All right, peace.